Okay. Dinner. That's my dinner. Let's go. Let's eat. Ano yung papanoorin natin? Yun guys, lumpia. Here. Judge Judy tayo. Judge Judy.
She realized it just wasn't gonna work.
One day I found him drunk in the bathtub, naked.
That is a lie.
Shh.
I'm sorry, Your Honor, but I find it very difficult listening to lies.
Well, you have to stand there, sir, until it's your turn.
Parties on Charnovsky versus Arendt. Step forward, please.
Social worker Tessa Charnovsky is suing former roommate Dale Arnott for not paying rent and verbally abusing her son. Dale is countersuing for wrongful eviction.
Order, all rise. Quiet in the courtroom, please. Judge number 13 on the calendar, the matter of Charnovsky versus Arendt. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated, sir. Have a seat.
Ms. Charnovsky, you rented a room to the defendant in your home. Is that an apartment or a house?
Apartment.
And you live there with a child?
Halftime.
How old is your child?
4 years old.
Boy or a girl?
He's a boy.
And according to your complaint, the defendant owes you $300 in rent, and you're suing him for $5,000.
Right.
Order.
You have a counterclaim because you say she damaged some of your property when she illegally evicted you,
Yes, Your Honor.
and you want her to pay you back for all the money that you did in fact pay her for rent.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, so how much was he supposed to pay you each month?
$450 plus deposit.
And what happened that caused you to evict him?
Dale had agreed to many terms prior to entering the apartment, none of which he followed through upon. He agreed to pay half the rent, half the utilities, his share of the phone bill, to pay a deposit to treat my child with respect, to keep the house clean. And he did not comply with those requirements. And also, throughout his living in the apartment, he displayed behavior which was very scary to me. And after I asked him to leave, he began to threaten me.
And you asked him to leave. How long had he lived there before you asked him to leave?
It was about a month and a half.
So how much rent was owing at that time?
He owes me for 21 days in the month of March, which is a total of $305.
Okay, and what happened when he was evicted in March?
Dale had agreed to leave within 60 days after my initial conversation with him to leave. When I asked him to sign a document stating that he would leave at that time, he flew into a rage and began to threaten me. Dale refused to leave at the time that he said he was going to leave. And then we made a new plan saying that he would leave on the 15th of March. On the 14th, I said, "Are you leaving tomorrow?" He said, "I'm not leaving tomorrow. Now leave me alone." And he scared me to death, Your Honor. And
So what did you do?
3 times during Dale's stay in the house, I called the police, scared for my life, scared for
No,
my...
Mr. Janowski.
Bring it
So
on.
you took his things and you put him outside.
At that time, absolutely, I did. I felt afraid for my life.
Okay. And you came home and found all your stuff outside.
Yes, ma'am.
Can I ask you a question, Mr. Ronat? How come you didn't pay March's rent if this happened on the 14th of March?
Your Honor, we had, when agreed for the 60 days
Spring
notice,
roll,
the
BB.
first night that the police had come up, I had later found an
Where are you
arrangement to
from?
which I could probably move out on the 14th, 15th of March. 15 days later, I approached her. I said, if I can move out within 15 days to alleviate this stressful situation, I said, would you be willing to absorb the half a month's rent that I would normally pay in order for me to move out quickly and alleviate the situation. She said absolutely not. She said that was unacceptable. So I said, fine, we will go back to our 60 days notice. I went back into my room.
Okay, but you were living there at that point, March 1st through the 14th, rent-free.
Yes, Your Honor. Yes.
Okay. Now tell me why $5,000. I have $305. Where do you get $5,000 from?
So I said Dale did not pay any of his bills.
What bills? Phone bills? What else?
Phone, Department of Water and Power, gas company, cost of cleaning because he never cleaned.
Strike the cost of cleaning.
One day I found him drunk in the bathtub, naked, and there was vomit throughout.
That's a lie. Shh.
In the bathroom, it was covered with vomit, and
That's a
he had
lie.
broken a candle holder
Sorry.
of mine that cost $50. So the total, if you would like to see it, Your Honor, is $575.
I still don't get to $5,000, madam.
When I asked Dale to leave, he would fly into rages, Your Honor, and he shouted at me numerous times with his finger in my face, things are going to get really nasty around here.
I mean,
That is a
are
lie.
you telling me? Shh.
I'm sorry, Your Honor, but I find it very difficult listening to lies.
Well, you have to stand there, sir, until it's your turn.
Okay.
That's why I would break into tears.
Just listen to me. What you're telling me is you want $4,500 for your emotional stress. For your emotional stress, for your child's emotional stress. Is that what you're telling me?
Absolutely.
Wrong. Be ridiculous, madam. If everything worked out fine, then you would not have a problem. Then he would still be your tenant. Things weren't working out. You should have looked into his background a little more carefully, investigated a little more carefully. If you have a child before you take a stranger into your house, you didn't. It didn't work out. Now, you violated the law by putting his things out on the street. And the police, I'm sure, told you that you had no legal right to do that. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. So you're going to have to absorb, because you did the wrong thing, certain things, including your emotional stress. Now, you certainly were living there March 1st to let's say March 15th. That's a half a month's rent, right?
Yes.
You owe her for that?
Yes.
Sure, you do. So you owe her $225 for half a month's rent. Now, you're suing her for, everybody's got these big numbers, a lot of zeros, $2,500.
That's an overestimation. I didn't have an exact measurement at the time.
Let me hear, sir, what things of yours were destroyed.
Well, actually, I brought a couple of the items. A lot of them are irreplaceable, things that I can't estimate value. So,
Like, give me an example.
I have a figurine from Walt Disney that's about 40 years old that was given to my grandmother, and it's broken in half. I have numerous CDs that were placed in a bag that had sand in them, and they were just placed in there by themselves without the case. They're just scratched, and I can't play them anymore. I have a lamp that was a gift, and it was flattened.
I'm the part-time manager of the building, Your Honor, and I watched as everything was brought downstairs. And as the manager, I can tell you, nothing was broken. Not one thing. As a matter of fact,
Just a second. Tell me, where were you when the things were brought down?
here are the stairs. Here's me.
Okay. And were they brought down as individual things, or were they in a bag?
Some individual and some in a bag, and I looked through everything as they were bringing it down to make sure that nothing was broken, and she had asked me to do that, and I was happy to comply with that request.
So you looked through every single thing that was brought down, and you saw absolutely nothing broken.
Absolutely nothing broken.
29-year-old Tessa Charnovsky says 23-year-old former roommate Dale Arnott did not pay rent, broke her furnishings, and berated her son.
Well, let me ask you this question, sir. When the things were put outside, they were left outside overnight?
Yes.
Did you watch them all night?
My apartment building overlooks them, so yes.
Are you telling me you stayed up all night to watch these things? Is that what you're telling me?
I'm a writer, so I have different hours, so I sleep during the day sometimes. But my car is also parked back there, so I do keep an eye on the building. As the manager, it's my responsibility. And because his things were out there, and I did know Dale, I did take it upon myself to make sure that nobody came and stole things. So the answer to your question is yes.
So you're telling me that you watched these bags, whatever they were, plastic shopping bags,
Unless I have to go tinkle, then I went to the bathroom.
Listen to me. The two of you have a problem. And your problem is that you don't know how to put a period to the end of this rather unfortunate tenancy. He owes you $225 in rent. Your emotional distress you're going to have to learn to live with. You, however, did the absolute wrong thing and put his things out of the house and left them outside, unattended, overnight. Absolutely the wrong thing.
May I make a statement, please?
Sure.
Your Honor, he told me that if I went through the eviction process, that he would stay for 60 days.
Which is his legal
Actually, I
right.
said 6 months.
Just listen to me, Ms. Chernovsky.
Fine, 6 months.
That's his legal right.
And Your Honor, and then he was threatening me with my child present. Whether it
Ms.
sounds
Chernovsky,
funny
stop
or
being
not,
so dramatic, madam.
it scared me to death.
Well, then, what I'm telling you is if it scared you to death, you have to pay for it. You did something that was illegal. You cannot take his things and just put them out of the house. You can't do that. But clearly, he's out of your house now. He's out of your life now. I assume you're going to be smarter when you rent to somebody else. But you have to understand that you can't just say to somebody you're going to leave when I tell you. Because once he moves into a place, he has certain rights as a tenant. And I can understand you being fearful for yourself. I can understand you being fearful for your child. But that once he's out, I think you're nuts to come to court to sue him. Nuts. Because if you were really afraid of him, Ms. Chernovsky, and if he was out of your house and out of your life, you would not have sued him. Because that doesn't make any sense if you were really afraid of him. So your lawsuit's dismissed, as is your counterclaim.
Thank you.
You're even.
I'm fine.
That's all.
These are excused. You may step out. I'll come back to your right, please.
At first, everything was fine, and then over a short period of time, she became not the person I originally had planned on her being.
This is a man who is evil, is a pathological liar, is destructive, does not follow through on any responsibilities, and he wins. It's absolutely outrageous.
I'm just going off my life. I'm really over all this, and I never wanted to come in the first place.
And now the next case.
Bodies on Jackson versus Hambrick. Step forward, please.
Dina Jackson, with her twin sister Dawn as a witness, is suing her ex-boyfriend Joey Hambrick for using her credit card. His witness is his twin brother, Danny.
Who's the plaintiff?
I am.
Who are you?
I'm her sister.
Sit down. Who are you?
I'm his brother. He's my witness. Joey?
Sit down. Because I don't know if we need witnesses. Miss Jackson, this is your former boyfriend. You say he owes you $5,000
Yes.
for a series of loans that you made to him. Start at the beginning
He charged on my credit card from July to September. And I gave
of
him,
1997.
yes. And I gave him a cash loan in October.
And how much did he charge on your credit card?
$1,531.
And did you give him permission to charge that on your credit card?
Yes, he had promised to pay me for it.
Well, tell me about it.
Okay, we would go shopping, and he would ask me if he could use my credit card to buy an item, and I would say okay. And he, in the past, he'd always done it and paid me back.
Why didn't you use your own credit card?
I don't have a credit card.
Okay, so the drill was you would use her credit card, and in the past you paid her back.
Yeah, sometimes. Sometimes she, I mean, we had we had a relationship, I mean, I bought stuff for her, she bought stuff for me. I'd take her out to dinner, too. I mean, we go out to nice restaurants, I'd pay for that. I mean,
That's different. All right, let me see the bills. Now, then you say there was a large loan that you made to him to have his car fixed.
Yes.
Let's get this. What's Silver Island?
It's a jewelry store where he bought, I think, a bracelet.
For $19?
Yeah, it's not a very nice bracelet.
Who did he buy the bracelet for?
Himself.
For $19?
yeah.
IKEA, $529. What was that for?
I bought some furniture for my room.
That you still have?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, you have to pay for that. Why should she pay for your furniture?
Well, she took me shopping. I mean, it was just cash. And she had credit. So it was like,
Just a
it
second.
was a mutual thing. Yes.
You see my mouth moving. Were you there?
Yes, I was there a couple times.
You were there?
On a couple occasions, I was.
My sister was there also on a few occasions.
Just a second. Step up here. You related to him?
Yes, I'm his twin brother.
Okay. Tell me the occasions when you were there when she bought him things on her credit card.
Well, we'd be, say, just on any occasion. We were all four
No.
together.
Specific.
Okay, for the jewelry, okay?
The $19 bracelet.
A $19 bracelet. She bought that for him. She saw, oh yeah, this is cute. I like this. It look good on you. So she bought it.
So you were there in the jewelry store
Yes,
with
I
the
was.
two of them.
Yep.
Tell me about it. Where was it located? This jewelry store.
I can't recall. It was a while ago.
You can't recall. You can't recall where it was, but you recall the conversation. Sit down.
22-year-old student Dina Jackson is suing her ex-boyfriend, 19-year-old restaurant manager Joey Hamper, for using her credit card and not paying her back.
Tell me about the car loan.
He had called me one day in the middle of October.
Willow,
He'd been planning on
no,
selling his
Willow.
car, but she was going to pay
How are
me
you?
for the credit card payments. Sorry. And he had called
I
me
think
and he had crashed his car pretty
time
bad.
there?
And he asked for a loan.
I think it's afternoon in South
What did he
Africa.
say? Exactly.
How's
Called
the
me and said
weather?
he
Happy
crashed his
New Year,
car.
Willow.
It was pretty bad. He needed to borrow some money so he could fix it in order to sell it. And I said, okay.
Yeah.
How much did he
I
borrow?
just came back from
$3,800.
live streaming. I'm good.
Did you
I'm
borrow
good.
$3,800 from her?
She gave it to me.
No.
1
Let
p.m.
me
in
see where
South
you withdrew
Africa. Yeah.
$3,800.
Very hot.
It was, I don't have a
Here is
statement or anything from it.
It's hot too.
I gave him cash.
Well, you had to
Summer.
withdraw the cash
But
from
few weeks
someplace,
ago
right?
it's rainy
took it out of the
days.
bank. I
You know
didn't
the
know.
weather here. It's
I
just
don't have it with me. My sister was with me when I did it.
rainy and sunny.
I have a canceled check. He made one
Keep safe
payment to
there
me
in
for
South
the car
Africa.
loan for $50.
Let me see it.
It was in November.
While in other places
Is there
like
anything you
Canada and
ever
the
gave me?
US, it's freezing.
What kind of car did you have?
Toyota Tercel.
You like the rain?
What year?
We have just 2
95.
seasons, rainy
Where
and
did you have it
sunny
fixed?
in the
I had to
Philippines.
fix it. A place in Hemet. It was I think Tire Pros.
We just have
Just 1
2
second.
seasons here.
Let me get this down
Really.
clearly and unequivocally.
So you just stay
You have
inside
the car fixed
your
at
house
what place?
Tire Pros.
because it's
And
very
Tire
hot.
Pros?
Yeah.
Get this information down because we can always do something like make a telephone call. You wouldn't mind that, sir, right?
No.
And how much did you pay to have the car repaired?
It was $3,800 somewhere around. It's $3,790 something.
And then did you
By the
sell
way.
the car?
No, I haven't sold it.
Well, was that your arrangement to sell the car so that you could pay her back? But
What's
you won't.
for lunch there? Do you have your lunch
Well,
already?
partly, I was trying to sell
I
the
just
car
have my
because I want to get a new car.
dinner.
Well, what about this
Dinner time in the
$3,800 that she lent to you? You seem to say there was no
Watching a
mention of
video.
repayment.
No, I called her and I said, I had a car accident. I need money. I need help. And, it was either, it was up to her whether to give it to him or not, I mean, she's cheated on me in the past.
I don't give a rat's behind
Yeah, but
about your social history with her, so that has absolutely nothing to do with money. So you said I need
Not yet
$3,800.
gonna have.
Yeah.
Wow.
Hmm?
So
And
me,
still
I
dating at the
have.
time?
yes.
Ay, Kuya Sans.
Where
Kumusta?
did you expect her to get the money from?
I have
She
some
has,
Moses,
she's had a lot of
you
money.
know, the
She had an
bean
inheritance,
sprout,
a while back. She obviously had a lot more than I did.
sauteed bean sprout,
What do you do for a living?
and
I work at
spring
McDonald's.
rolls and rice for
I'm
my
just a manager.
dinner. Kuya
McDonald's.
Sans,
What
kumusta
do you
ang
do?
buhay?
I go to school and I help out at my dad's
Kumain ka
dental
na,
office.
Kuya?
My stepdad's dental office.
Where'd you get all this money from?
My father died a couple years
Karating
ago.
mo lang.
We each got $5,000.
So you gave him almost everything that your
Napakasipag
father
talaga na
left you?
Kuya Sans. Mas maray na banggi, manaysan.
You took out of the bank almost everything that your father had left you.
Ganun talaga yung
I wanted
buhay.
to help him.
Hindi.
At the time, he needed the money.
Ako nag-dinner na ito.
And I felt bad for him.
Simot na
My
simot
sister
yung
was with
tao.
me when I gave him the money. And he even said, I really appreciate it. I'll pay you back as soon as I sell my car. He had told me that when I
Yeah,
gave him the
spring
money.
rolls and,
These two bills together
Veggies
add up
also
to
big.
more than the
Yeah, about
Maximum.
$5,300.
maximum allowance that this court can
maulan
award
dyan
to
sa
you.
Naga, Kuya Sans.
But you owe this money. You're going to have to work at McDonald's
Dito
double
maaraw
time.
na kanina.
Mr. Hamburg,
Ay, medyo mo.
double time.
Mulan na ng konti, pero mostly maaraw na.
Judgment is with the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000. That's all.
Thank you.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Taob muna yan.
Out the back.
So you're attached to the dog?
Mamaya yan, after, 40 minutes pa.
Now that they've split and she's found
40
someone new,
minutes.
they both want the dog.
Gawin ko lang
So
isang
Judge
oras.
Judy puts Missy to the test.
Come on, Missy. Missy.
Well, now that Missy has relieved herself in my courtroom, try it again.
Parties on Snodgrass versus Levancil. Step forward, please.
28-year-old student Jerry Snodgrass wants his former girlfriend, registered nurse Laura Levancil Vasquez, to return his dog, Missy.
Order, all rise.
Laguna ka. Para ka taga ka, Laguna ka pala. Sorry. Nakalimutan ko na, alam mo
The matter
naman.
of Snodgrass versus Levancil, parties of the sworn-in judge.
Ay,
May be
ako,
seated, ma'am.
makakalimutin na.
When the two of you
May
were living together,
May
according to
yung
these
Mirang
papers,
Tomas eh.
you purchased
Kailangan hugasan.
this dog.
We were never living together, Your Honor. The dog lived at my house with me and my roommate.
And at my house, too.
You purchased this dog together. When you separated, you kept the dog.
Anong
She
lutuin
kept the
mo
dog
ulam,
initially.
Kuya Sans?
And I continued to see her.
And then the dog came into your
Magluto ka
custody.
na, anong oras na?
When?
9 months ago.
Magsa-7 na
And you've
yata.
recently married somebody else.
Correct.
And now
7
you
na,
want the dog back.
7:15. Mag-alas 8 na.
Okay, so tell me why you think I should give you the dog.
Well, Your Honor, the dog was a birthday gift. Half the purchase price was a birthday gift from Laura to me. We looked in the paper, found one, bought her. I have a receipt in my name.
Mm-hmm.
And me and Laura split up, decided to move back home, go back
You
to school.
decided to move back home.
Yes, with my parents' support, go back to school, further my education. And the situation at my parents' house, I didn't want, it was not a good time for Missy to be there at that time. Laura offered to, if I ever needed a place for Missy to stay, she would care for her. So I thought about it, and I called her and asked her if the offer was still good. She assured me that it was. I stated to her over the phone and in person when I finally did bring the dog to her that this is only temporary. It could be 3 weeks, 3 months, or 3 years, but it's still my dog, and I wanted her back. And she assured me that she didn't have any problem with this agreement. I told her that if she was going to have a problem letting her go, to tell me, and I would make other arrangements. She said that this was fine.
Your Honor,
Just a minute. And?
And January, she called me, let me know that she was engaged and her fiance was living with her. So it was kind of difficult for me to come see her as often. Now that he was living there, it was a little uncomfortable at the time.
You can understand that.
Sure.
Okay.
So the remodeling that was going on at my parents' house was done. There's 5 dogs there in the beginning.
Anyway, you finally came to a point where you could have the dog.
Correct. So that's why I want her back. She'll have a great home.
Your Honor, he never called and said he wanted the dog back. He called and said he wanted to see her. She had just had surgery. He didn't want to see her. He wanted to take her. In 9 months, he has called 3 times. He has never given any money for her, never paid for her. His witness, Kenny, has called and seen the dog more than he has.
Let me ask you this question. Mr. Snodgrass,
Yes.
you say you're attached to the dog?
Yes, Your Honor, very much so.
And you're attached to the dog.
Absolutely.
If the two of you stood over there, and this young lady, who are you?
Shireen, her friend.
And your friend stood over there with the dog and let the dog go, and both of you called her, would you both be satisfied with whoever the dog went to, that's who took her home?
No, she would run to anybody.
Just a second. No, talking to the two of you. If you really love this dog, both of you, it would seem to me that if one stood there and one stood there and you both called Missy, is that the name of the dog? Wherever Missy went to, it would seem to me that that's the home that the dog should go to.
Say that he
trained
her.
You willing to do that?
He trained her. I'm not. She hasn't seen him in many months. I'm not disputing that she's not happy to see him.
Well, if what you're saying is that the dog remembers him, knows him, would be just as comfortable in his house as in your house. And I do believe that when he left the dog with you, he left the dog with you with the understanding that this was not a permanent arrangement.
Your Honor, the dog has always been in my home. It has never been a dispute. This dog despises other dogs.
I'm not telling you.
Awesome.
Listen, no, just a minute. The dog lived with him for a year.
Didn't live in the house he's in now. Didn't
Doesn't
live
make
with
any
other
difference.
animals.
We're talking about him. did live with him without you for a year.
No. The dog was always with the two of us. I stayed at his house many nights. The dog stayed with me usually 2-3 nights a week.
So if what you're telling me is that you've had the dog now for 9 months, why would you have a fear
Correct.
of the dog making the decision to where the dog would be comfortable? Because certainly hasn't been with him for 9 months.
But the dog knows him. Dogs don't forget. He trained the dog. He trained her. She's going to go to him probably. But you could stand, I mean, she goes to a lot of people. It doesn't prove that he's the better home for her. He has never taken care of this dog in the manner that a dog should be taken care of.
Listen to me. It's not a question of whether his home is a better home than your home. I'm not doing a home study of both of your homes like we would do if we placed a foster child. What I'm saying to you is, on the face of this complaint, seems to me there was an agreement that you had with him when he brought the dog over to you that this was a temporary arrangement and that this was his dog. When he gave you the dog, he said to you, I can't take it now, but I will be back for it. That's almost an acknowledgement.
I do not acknowledge it. That is nothing that happened. That is what he is saying.
Well,
he called me and asked me if I could take the dog permanently because he was moving to a home that was not adequate for the dog. She had always been in my home. She's been raised with my German Shepherd. She doesn't get along with the other dogs.
Ay.
He has other dogs in his parents' home. He's never there in 9 months. He lives 6 blocks from me, Your Honor. He has 6 blocks. Why would you take the dog?
Ay, yan nga si manager.
Because of the animal. You can't. She doesn't.
Si manager, ano?
Explain this animal.
Si manager. Salud na. Isalud mo na lang. 4? Piraso ba? 5 kapot mo. Ano, ang bakala niyo tayo? Barato lang sa inyo. Bay, makailugi ako sa 100. Oh, lista? Alang? Suwa. Ina na ka-imagine, suwa. Suwa ba yun? 145.
Bilhin.
145.
145. Hindi na, pwede bawasan.
Hindi na, 200 na lang pato mo. Alat lang.
Gilo pa di.
Yelo! Bakal na kami yelo.
Ayaw na po tayo dito.
Ano yun? Salamat. It's Sky. Hello. 안녕하세요.
Well, now that Missy has relieved herself in my courtroom, try it again.
Connect guys to pre-adapt to live. 안녕하세요. To It's Sky Play.
Missy, come. Come here.
Connect to each other. Be friendly, come on.
Okay. I've read all the papers. And I do believe, Mr. Snodgrass, that from a legal perspective, you are the registered owner of this dog. The defendant.
Registered with who? She's always been registered with the state and city with me, never in his name.
Well, you got papers for this dog, is that right?
I put them in his name because I thought we were getting married. You know, I've always taken care of her vet bills. I've done everything for this dog her whole life. You know, he kept her locked in a kitchen for hours at a time. You know, he doesn't take care of an animal the way an animal should be taken care of.
You know, you could never tell that by the way the dog is affectionate
Your
towards
Honor.
him.
Ay, shit.
She realized it just wasn't.
I'm sorry, Your Honor, but I find it very difficult listening to a lot.
Say, just on any occasion.
So,
the remodeling that was going on at my parents' house was done. There was 5 dogs.
Not disputing that she's not happy to see him.
Well, if what you're saying is that
Skies, thank
dog
you.
remembers him, knows him,
How's the weather
is-
there? Do you
is-
have your
would be just as
breakfast?
comfortable in his house as in your house. And I do believe that when
What do
he
you have
left
for
the dog with you,
breakfast?
he left the dog with you with the understanding that this was not a permanent arrangement.
Your Honor, the dog has always been in my home. It has never been at his parents' home. This dog despises other dogs.
I'm not
There are
telling
other
you.
dogs in
Listen,
that-
no, just a minute. The dog lived with him for a year.
Didn't live in the house he's in now.
It
Didn't
doesn't
live
make
with
any
other
difference.
animals.
We're talking about him. Did live with him without you for a year.
No. The dog was always with the two of us. I stayed at his house many nights. The dog stayed with me usually 2-3 nights a week.
So if what you're telling me is that you've had the dog now for 9 months, why would you have a fear of the dog making the decision to where the dog would be comfortable? Because certainly hasn't been with him for 9 months.
But the dog knows him. Dogs don't forget. He
But
trained
you-
the dog. He trained her. She's going to go to him probably. But you could stand. I mean, she goes to a lot of people. It doesn't
Why would
prove
the
that
dog-
he's the better home for her. He has never taken care of this dog
it's not
in
a
the
question.
manner that a dog should be taken care of.
Listen to me. It's not a question of whether his home is a better home than your home. I'm not doing a home study of both of your homes like we would do if we placed a foster child. What I'm saying to you is, on the face of this complaint, it seems to me there was an agreement that you had with him when he brought
Oy.
the dog over to you that this was a temporary arrangement.
Wait
and
lang,
this was
ninja mo to.
his dog. When he gave
30
you the
minutes
dog,
na
he
lang
said
ako,
to you,
30 minutes.
I can't take
Nag-apply
it
ako
now, but I will be
kanina.
back for it.
Wala.
That's almost an
I did
acknowledgement.
not acknowledge that. That is nothing that happened. That is what he is saying.
Well,
he
you
called
tell-
me and
you
asked
tell-
me if I could take the dog permanently because he was moving
sige,
to a home
salamat.
that was not adequate for the dog.
Nag-apply ako
She had
kanina, wala,
always been in my
eh.
home.
Kulang
She's
pa
been
ako sa
raised
watch
with my
hours.
German Shepherd. She doesn't get along with the other dogs. He has other dogs at his parents' home. He's never there in 9 months. He lives 6 blocks from me, Your Honor. He is 6 blocks.
Eh, may
She
jacket
doesn't
na.
Why
come
would
to
you be
see the dog.
concerned?
Oo, lumpia yung...
Because
Why
it's an
would you be-
animal.
30
You
minutes
can't.
na lang.
She doesn't know what's going on.
Tapos na
If you
dyan.
could explain to this animal who you go
Lumpia,
to is who
tsaka
you're going to live with, okay, then it would be fair.
toge.
You can explain that to an animal.
I would like to try
Ginisang
it anyway.
toge. Yung mungo sprout.
Maybe you're wrong.
I know he trained her. I
Maybe
don't
you're
think
wrong.
that's adequate.
Jerry Snodgrass wants his ex-girlfriend, Laura Levancil Vasquez, to return his dog, a Jack Russell Terrier. She says the dog, Missy, has grown attached to her.
You pick which spot you're more comfortable with.
It doesn't matter.
Well, you pick it.
And he's going to what spot?
Whichever one you don't pick. You're
What are the
standing
two
next to each other. One
Oh,
there and one
okay.
there. You pick which one you're more comfortable with. Okay? Sir?
Missy. Come on.
Okay, Missy, come.
Come on, Missy. Missy.
Ah.
Come here.
Missy, come here. Come up, Missy.
Come here, baby.
See, what a perfect stranger here. She'd come to him if they called. She'll go to Kenny. Yes, I do.
Okay. Kenny. You're Kenny?
Kenny,
Just a second. You sit down with where Kenny is.
Laura, you stand on this side and have Kenny stand
Right.
on that side.
Okay.
come on, Miss. Come on.
Missy, come.
Missy, come here. See? She went to your bailiff. Missy, come on, baby.
That hates dogs.
Looking for a place to go to bed.
My bailiff doesn't hate dogs.
Better get messy, Judge.
Call me.
What?
Better get messy. This is getting messy.
Missy's getting messy.
Oh, how sad. Look how
Missy.
much. See?
Now you wanna-
Come here, baby.
Messy.
Come here.
Well, now that Missy has relieved herself in my courtroom, try it again.
Missy, come. Come on. Missy, come. Come here, baby. Come small.
Oh.
Okay. I've read all the papers. And I do believe, Mr. Snodgrass, that from a legal perspective, you are the registered owner of this dog. the defendant.
Registered with who? She's always been registered with the state and city with me, never in his name.
Well, you got papers for this dog, is that right?
I put them in his name because I thought we were getting married. You know, I've always taken care of her vet bills. I've done everything for this dog her whole life.
Hindi ako nakabidyo.
You know, he kept her locked in a kitchen for hours at a time. You know, he doesn't take care of an animal the way an animal should be taken care of.
You know, you could never tell that by the way the dog is affectionate
Your Honor,
towards him and seems to go with him.
he trained this dog.
My concern, you don't seem to understand, and I'm going to explain it to you once and then this case is over. My concern was that it would be totally unfair to take a dog who is totally attached to you as the owner of the past 9 months, and for no other reason other than the fact that there seems to me to be a legal presumption that he is the owner of this animal, to transfer the dog back to him. That was a concern that I had when I read these papers. Because despite everything that you put in the papers, there is an acknowledgement that the dog is his dog, and you seem to say that he abandoned this dog by having minimal contact with the dog over the 9-month period that you had the dog. But quite frankly, I'm looking at this dog now, and this dog seems perfectly willing, and not only perfectly willing, but very anxious to go back with him.
Okay, so what about the dogs that live at his parents' house? She does not get along with other dogs. What about the situation he's going to take her to live in? If he was asking to bring her back to his home where she grew up in and she lived, you know, I could see that being a good home for her. But there are dogs there. This dog does not get along with strange dogs.
You have a German Shepherd
that she has been raised with since she was a puppy.
Mm-hmm.
They have been together since they were little.
Is that true?
Yes.
What kind of dogs do you have now where you live in?
They're Chihuahua, Pomeranian mix. They're small dogs. There's 3 of them.
Has this dog ever been with those dogs?
A couple of times, Your Honor.
And how did they get along?
Okay.
Mr.
Never
Snodgrass.
been there.
Mr. Snodgrass,
Yes, Your Honor.
let me tell you this. You love this dog?
Yes, I do.
Is that why you want the dog back?
Yes, I do, Your Honor. I
Is
tried
that
to
why I
make
had me
this.
served 4 days before my wedding?
I tried to make this a gradual thing. I wanted Missy for the weekend. Laura wouldn't accept. You know, she wouldn't let.
She just had
period.
surgery.
Flat out said, you know, no, you can't see the dog.
I only have one other question for you, Mr. Snodgrass.
Tulosin ko yan.
How did you feel about this dog for the last 9 months?
Tell me, Mr. Snodgrass.
I thought about her all the time. You know, just the situation at home and the situation, you know, at Laura's house. It was just very uncomfortable. It's been very sad 9 months.
Hey.
Missy, bring it. Good girl. Sorry, she likes to play. Bring it.
I'd still like for Laura and her new husband to visit the dog if they want.
Well, your former girlfriend has a life of her own now.
I understand that now.
Looks to me as if she's taken very good care of this dog.
I appreciate it very much.
Says his former girlfriend, Laura Levancil Vasquez, won't give him his dog. She says she loves Missy.
Mr. Snodgrass, I want you to make her feel totally comfortable. So you're going to take the dog for a weekend, because I think that what you say is absolutely true. I think you should take the dog to where you're living now, and if this is where you're going to live, I think that you should see how this dog gets along with 3 other dogs.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you have a German Shepherd, right? And she learned to get along with the German Shepherd. She seems like a perfectly happy puppy. If she gets along with your dog, sir, you can keep her. If she doesn't, I want you to do the right thing and let her stay.
Your Honor, he won't
With
do
her.
the right
Do
thing.
you understand?
Yes, I understand. Who's going to judge whether she stays or she goes?
Well, I tell you what you do. Why don't you go to the house where he is
Oh, I will.
with the dog? Take a video camera with you.
Okay.
Memorialize the moment. If you can't make a decision as to whether or not the dog is in fact getting along with these other dogs, and give it a couple of minutes, you know.
Oh, I will.
Give it a couple of minutes. You can come back to me. Is that reasonable?
So who gets the dog right now? Right?
Right now, dog's going home with her. She's going to bring the dog to your house. If things are not going well, you've got the camera. The dog go back with her. You can't agree. The dog goes back with her, and you come back to me. Reasonable?
Uh-huh.
Good. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
He's never there. He's never taking good care of the dog. He doesn't deserve to own an animal.
She knows that I trained Missy, raised her, and she'll have a great home. I care about her very much.
Yeah, that's why he's been there so many times in 9 months.
To,
Kenny's seen her more than you have.
no, it's not true.
Yeah, it is true.
And now the next case.
Parties on Gutierrez versus Kuzman. Step forward, please.
12-year-old Cole Gutierrez, with his mother Emily, is suing his former stepfather, 42-year-old butcher Mike Kuzman, for a $1,000 loan. Mike says he borrowed the money, but he also says he bought Cole an $1,800.
What's your first name?
Cole.
Cole. This was your stepfather.
Yes.
How long was he married to your mom?
5 years.
And they are now divorced. Is that correct?
Yes.
And you say that while they were married, you made a loan to your then stepfather of $1,000.
Yeah.
You don't deny that this money was borrowed from his savings account.
No, I don't.
But you claim that you don't have to repay it. How did it come about that this $1,000 was taken out of your savings account? Tell me about the conversation.
Well, he asked me if he could borrow money so we could keep the house, and he said he needed $1,000. And
where did you get this money from?
well, it's from money I saved. It's in a CD. It's a $1,000 CD.
Saved from what?
Birthdays, Christmas, stuff for when I get older.
So you said okay?
Yes.
And did you go to the bank with him?
No, I went with my mom.
And you took out the $1,000?
Yeah.
And who did you give it to?
I gave it to Mike.
Is that right?
Mostly, yes.
Okay. So he gave you the $1,000. You had gone to his room, asked him for it, and he gave it to you. Now, you explain to me why you shouldn't give this money back to him, because I assume that you're here because you didn't give it back to him.
Correct.
Tell me why.
Correct. Okay. Emily and I, but we got behind in the mortgage payment. I knew that we were behind. I was notified by the bank that we were behind.
Acknowledge you were behind the mortgage payment. You went to your stepson.
Right.
He took out his CD and he gave it to you.
Correct.
That's what you asked him for.
Yes.
Tell me why you don't believe you should pay him back.
I'm paying off a computer that we got for him for $1,800.
So
I feel that that's just compensation for borrowing. It was $1,200, not $1,000. It was $1,200. I feel that's just compensation for borrowing the $1,200 from him.
well, when did you buy him the computer?
In
June.
it was in June for his graduation.
Right. What does that have to do with $1,000? You mean because you feel as if you're divorced from his mother and you're still paying off the computer that
Yes.
you want to offset that?
Yes.
Judgment in this case, he borrowed $1,000 or $1,200?
$1,200.
$1,200?
Yes.
Judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,200. Mr. Kuzma, outrageous, sir.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
That's a fairy story you're telling me, young lady. Somebody has to pay for the damage.
They worked in an ice cream parlor but felt like Chinese food, so the teenager got the takeout and got in an accident.
Did you ever tell her you didn't have a driver's license?
Yes, many times.
I don't believe you. You're 17 years old. You have a responsibility.
I'm not saying my daughter is not guilty here.
She is.
Parties on Giannopoulos versus Pinder Hendricks. Step forward, please.
21-year-old Vicky Giannopoulos says 17-year-old Amy Pinder wrecked her car when she borrowed it to get lunch for both of them.
Order. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 26 on the calendar in the matter of Giannopoulos versus Pinder Hendricks. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated, sir.
Miss Hendricks?
Mrs. Hendricks.
Mrs. Hendricks?
Yes.
This is your daughter.
This is my daughter.
How old are you?
17.
You're here really because the issue ultimately is whether you are responsible if I find your daughter negligent.
Correct.
The two of you were working together in a store, an ice cream store.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Yeah.
And according to this complaint, she was using your car
Yes.
because you guys got hungry for something other than ice cream.
Yes.
And you decided you wanted some Chinese food.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
How many orders did we have for the Chinese food?
It was just hers.
Just yours.
We were gonna share. No, we weren't. Yes, we were.
You were her boss?
In some sense of the word, yes. I was a step above her at the time, yes.
So you tell me how it came about that she was driving your car.
Amy and I were sitting there, we were discussing, and we were both a little hungry, and I am not allowed to leave since I am supervisor. So I was sitting there trying to get a few orders in.
You mean you tried to call her?
Right, yes. And it happened as there was a place about a mile away, and Amy said, I'll go get it if I can use your car. And I said, okay, fine. And I let her use my car, and it's less than a mile from our place of business, so it should have taken 10 minutes, about 20 minutes to about half an hour goes by. I get a phone call that he had been in an accident. I'm okay. The other driver's okay. It's nothing real big. I'm real sorry.
Tell me about the accident you got into.
I was turning at an intersection into a parking lot to get the food, and I turned and there was a car coming straight that I didn't see. I waited and let some cars pass.
So you were
It was sold. Yes.
How much was the damage to the car?
I'm not exactly sure. I had $1,000 deductible. It was more than that. I had to pay the full $1,000.
Okay, young lady. You tell me why you think this is not your fault and your responsibility.
Okay. Well, she handed me her keys. We did not discuss ordering in food at all. And she gave me her money and said, take my car and go get me dinner. And she also added at the end, you crash my car, I kill you. She was very aware I did not have my license.
How was she aware that you didn't have a license?
She used to take me home every night.
Yes.
After work.
Yes.
And so did everybody else at work. They joked around about having to take me home all the time.
Just a second. There's a difference between taking you home and her knowing that you didn't have a license. Did you know she didn't have a driver's license?
No, I did not. Not till after the accident.
Did you ever tell her you didn't have a driver's license?
Yes, many times.
I don't believe you. Young lady, I don't believe that you ever told her you didn't have a driver's license.
I didn't have a car and I didn't have a license, and she used to tease me about it all the time. That, I didn't have a license. Why don't you get your license? Why don't you start driving? And other people at work did.
I don't care about other people. That's a fairy story you're telling me, young lady. In any event, this is not a very difficult case. Somebody has to pay for the damage. Your daughter caused the damage to her car. It cost her $1,000. Who should pay the $1,000?
I'm not saying my daughter is not guilty here.
She is.
She had bad judgment.
Yes.
Extremely bad
And she
judgment.
got behind the wheel of a car knowing she didn't have a license.
Exactly.
Okay. Now I have a question for you. The other car was damaged as well?
I believe so.
The other car was damaged? Who paid for that?
We haven't heard anything from my insurance. My insurance.
Well, so far you got a free ride with regard to the car that you damaged. Right?
Yes.
She didn't get a free ride with regard to her car. You're 17 years old. You have a responsibility. Your responsibility is you don't do anything that's illegal. Getting behind the wheel of a car is illegal. So even if she said to you, go and get me dinner, you say, I can't get you dinner because I can't drive the car because I don't have a license. That's what you say. Sorry, I'll walk to get us dinner. Or I'll walk to get you dinner if that's what you want. You're my boss. If you feel as if you want to do that. But you don't take the keys.
Well, I was under the course and scope of employment. She's my manager, and I just pretty much figured I had to do what she said.
Oh, no. And it's not the first time that you've driven a car even though you don't have a license. Right?
Correct.
Now the question is, are you responsible for your daughter's acts of negligence? She is a minor. Somebody has to be responsible for her acts of negligence. It's no different from what she did. If she took a baseball, they were playing baseball, and she broke out the windows in your next door neighbor's house. He would be responsible because you're her mother. Mother, father, parents are responsible.
Amy Pender says her former boss, Vicky Giannopoulos, sent her to get lunch in Vicky's car. Amy crashed the car. Vicky wants her to pay for it.
Between this side and this side's guilty, and this side is out $1,000. You have to pay for that.
I understand that, but she's not being truthful.
Whether she's being truthful or not, your daughter is not being truthful.
She's told you the exact truth.
No, she hasn't.
Yes, she
No, she hasn't. Bottom line is, she damaged her car, she damaged a perfect stranger's car. She didn't pay for either one. Now she's going to pay for one. $1,000 for the plaintiff. That's all.
All right, sir, excuse me. May I step out? Here you go.
And now the next case.
All parties on Ungar versus All Reed. Step forward, please.
Independent sales agent Derek Unger claims machinist Timothy Aldry punched him in a fit of road rage.
It has been a generation since the United States of America has been involved in a war. So you know what they substituted for war? Road rage. Here we have, unfortunately, another case of combatants behind the wheel of a car. Mr. Unger, you complained that you got into an altercation with this perfect stranger while you were driving your car, and he was driving his car. As a result of which you were injured when he assaulted you. So you want to tell me the story?
On the date question, I was driving eastbound on Santa Monica Boulevard to make a right turn and make a catering delivery in the Century City area. I made a right turn. I was
Were you driving a car or a truck?
a truck. I went to change lanes to get into a right turning lane or thereabouts, and accidentally cut the defendant off. At that time, he started giving hand gestures and
Well, when you
cursing.
cut him off, he was behind you then.
Yes, I cut him off, and he was behind me on Century Park East.
So how did you know he was making hand gestures?
Because he pulled up alongside of me and started.
You mean after you made the turn?
Right. He got mad because I cut him off, pulled up alongside of me, rolled down his window, F you, F you, F you this, F you that, and then I returned with the same gestures, F you, F you, F you that. Proceeded to roll up my window and tried to just ignore the incident and go on with my day. And I pulled down into an undergarage parking and came along a up and down gate. Stopped at the gate.
Ano na ako, Jenny? 10 minutes. Salamat,
The
Jenny.
defendant pulled up behind me. He was walking down the side of the cars. As soon as I saw him get to about my bumper, I exited the truck.
First mistake. Right?
Yeah, you could say that.
Sure it was. Because that's why we're
Well,
taking this slow.
I don't think it was a mistake. I mean,
You don't think so?
well, no, there's this big guy coming up on my car after he's just telling me he's going to kill me. I mean,
So, Mr. Unger, that doesn't strike you as a mistake, sir? Here you're sitting behind
Well,
the
at least
wheel
I
of a
can run.
5,000-pound truck. Right?
okay.
You just told me you were afraid. You didn't know what he was going to do.
Mm-hmm.
So it seems to me you stay in your truck. Now I'm just saying this is a point of a lesson, which is why
Okay,
you were
it's a
talking
lesson,
about. It's a
right.
lesson. If somebody is coming up to you who seems to be irrational, you stay as protected as possible. You don't get out.
Well, it's kind of like you're framing your face in the car, though. I mean, if your window's down and he comes up to the window, you got a big frame of your face
Mr. Unger,
with a target.
Mr. Unger, why in the world would you keep your window down?
Well, it was down. It was hot.
Well, as he's walking to your car, the first thing an intelligent person would do is to roll up their window.
Okay.
Oh, so you got out of your car,
Mm-hmm.
and then what happened? Turned around.
I turned around, looked at him, and pow, right in the face.
Okay. And as a result of that, you want to show me some medical records
Correct.
of your injuries, out-of-pocket expenses,
Correct.
And
I also have
And
a
some
witness
photographs.
that filled out a witness claim.
I don't read witnesses' claims.
Okay.
I speak to
I didn't
witnesses.
think you did. Okay. Here's my medical records. Here's the correspondence between my lawyer and myself. And my pictures.
Well, I want to see the pictures. I'm not interested in the letters between you and your lawyer, sir. That's between you and your lawyer. What I want to see is medical records. You went to a chiropractor.
This is correct.
What kind of medical plan do you have?
I have Kaiser.
Did you go to their doctor?
Yes, I did.
This report from this chiropractor. Is this a chiropractor affiliated with Kaiser?
No, ma'am, it isn't.
This is a chiropractor that your lawyer referred you to. On what? What means what? Is this the chiropractor that your lawyer referred you to?
Yes, it is. There's also a medical report in there from Kaiser.
I understand that. I'm just testing my reservoir of information.
Okay.
Truck driver Derek Elder says Timothy Allred touched him after they exchanged words while driving. Timothy claims he was just defending himself.
Okay, so let's hear your side of the story.
Well, I was traveling west on Santa Monica Boulevard. He was traveling east on Little Santa Monica Boulevard in Century City, and there's a line of cars that were backed up, and he like darted around those cars and cut me off in front of me, and I did make a gesture at him. I made a hand gesture at him, and I was like this, and I flipped him off, and he started mouthing words to me through the back of his window in his truck. So he got to the ticket machine first, where he pulled the tickets out, and I came up behind him. He was already out of his car, and I was still rolling. I was like, I'm not going to get stuck in my car. I want to be able to defend myself. Basically,
I'll ask you the same question that I asked him.
He was threatening me, verbally threatening me. He said he was going to rip off my head and do nasty things down my neck, all this other stuff. You know what I mean.
So why did you get out of your car?
Because I felt threatened.
So then you stay in your car.
Well,
you feel threatened, then you stay in your truck. That's what a normal person would do. They would stay in their truck, but you got out of your truck. Yeah.
I did.
And what happened when you got out of your truck?
We came together, and he kind of lunged at me. I stepped to the side. I hit him one time.
So you hit him.
I did hit him.
So you got to pay for that.
I felt threatened.
So you got to pay for that.
Well, I was defending myself.
No, you weren't. You were both acting like fools. Unfortunately, he got hurt.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I'm not going to just,
You're not going to just what?
I'm communicating on the road, basically. I'm like, what are you doing?
Just a second. Just a second. Why do you feel the necessity to communicate on the road?
Because I'm driving. That's what I do for a living. I drive. I communicate on the road with people.
You're not supposed to communicate on the road, sir. You are supposed to drive your car. You're supposed to drive your truck. That's what you're supposed to do. And if you just let it go and say, that idiot.
I tried to let it go. I was like, tell him to calm down.
No, he wasn't angry with you. That's not logical. He cut you off, and if you had done nothing after he cut you off, he would have continued on his way and delivered his bagels, according to this. But you confronted him.
I'm not the one that pulled out and went around all those cars.
I'm not saying he was driving like a maniac. That's not what caused this problem. What caused this problem is that you chose to confront him. Dumb. And then the two of you decided to confront each other as you were entering this. You say no?
No.
If you didn't want to confront each other, sir, you would have stayed in your truck. Don't you watch television?
I was stuck at a gate, and I was stuck in a box in my car with a big, huge man coming at me, all right? With tattoos all over his arms.
And so you're frightened. And you're frightened.
Right, so I get out of the car.
Frightened, so you get out of the car.
I get out of the car.
Get out of the car.
I turn around.
Listen, your lawyer should have sent you to a psychiatrist, not a chiropractor. In any event, Mr. Allred, you have to pay him for what you did. Now, if you have a lawsuit that didn't go anywhere, sir, with your lawyer, I don't know if I'm prepared to make him pay for that, but I am prepared to make him pay for punching you in the face. For punching you in the face.
I was also very nice to the man. The man's crying
Main ka na kayo
downstairs
niya?
in the
Ano ulam mo?
garage telling me not to have him arrested. He's got kids. It's his third time being arrested. Please don't have me arrested. Please don't have me arrested. You know, and I'm sitting there bleeding profusely, and I'm going, you know, do I still have a heart? So I go, okay, you're not arrested, okay. So I told the guy not to arrest him. He's like, thank you, I'm
Mr.
so
Ulrich.
sorry.
Mr. Ulrich. Now I have a question for you, sir.
Yes, ma'am.
I mean, he knows he's wrong. He deserves to pay the whole thing.
How many times have you been arrested? Make sure look at me. Look at me. How many times have you been arrested?
4 or 5 times.
For what?
Various things, burglary, assault.
When was the last time you were arrested for assault?
1990.
You on probation anywhere?
No.
Sap-sap.
Did you ever serve any time in jail?
Wow, masarap yan. May sabaw paggabi. Healthy ko yun.
7 years.
When was the last time you were incarcerated?
1984.
When was the last time you were arrested?
Son was arrested.
Yes.
1996.
For what?
Warrants.
Warrants for what?
Traffic warrants.
What else?
That's it.
Your Honor,
What?
obviously he hasn't learned his lesson. It's time to teach him a lesson.
Mr. Rucker?
I'm just, you know, I know you're thinking the same thing I am, or else you wouldn't be smiling too.
Mr. Rucker? You're being irritated.
I'm sorry.
I'm not saying to you that Mr. Allred isn't responsible for what happened because he hit you. What I'm saying to you is you tried to make a case out of it with a lawyer. The case went nowhere. And I understand what happened with Kaiser, and I understand what happened with your lawyer sending you to his doctor, and I understand all of that stuff. And so do you, because you didn't even go to the doctor until 2-3 days, according to this, after he punched you in the face. I understand what went on. That doesn't excuse what he did. That doesn't excuse what he did. You understand that, sir?
I understand, yes.
Very good. Judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,000. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
When it was canceled.
Yes.
And they went and got married someplace else.
The young lovers eloped in Las Vegas. Now they won't let her mom see her grandson.
Why?
Because she's a psycho.
She's a psycho. Listen to me. Sir, I don't know if you get it or if you don't get it. She has a problem.
Fox versus Argus. Step forward, please.
45-year-old electrician Farrell Fox and his wife Bobby are suing their daughter, 22-year-old Jill Aragus, for the cost of the wedding and not inviting them.
Order. All rise. Quiet courtroom, please. This is case number 15 on the calendar, the matter of Fox versus Aragus. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated, sir. Ma'am.
This is your daughter.
That's correct.
And your stepdaughter. Is that right?
17 years.
And your father and his wife raised you.
Yeah.
You decided to get married.
Yes.
To you. And you said you would pay for the wedding.
That's correct.
And you made some payments towards things that deposits and stuff towards the wedding. You gave your daughter some money in cash. Is that right?
No.
Never gave you any money in cash to pay for things for the wedding?
She gave me a check for $500 one time, and I gave her everything back that was bought.
What did you buy with it?
A cake knife, goblets, garter belt.
Whatever. You said you gave it. But
Yeah.
the money that you say you laid out towards this wedding was what? $1,700?
$1,735.
And then you had a falling out with your daughter.
Sort of. She walked away. We don't know, actually.
She didn't really elaborate on the reason that she decided to turn her back on us.
And the wedding was canceled.
Yes.
And they went and got married someplace else.
That's right.
Without inviting you, which hurt you very badly.
That's right.
So you want the money back.
We do.
It's not a very difficult legal case. You lend her the money.
Ano yun? Ala?
What's your first name?
Mercedes.
Curious Joe. From your vantage point, what happened with your parents that caused you to get married and not fight them?
Hindi
Bobby
ka.
decided,
Is your stepmom?
yes, she decided that she didn't want to support the wedding anymore because she didn't feel that we were ready to be married. And she said she wasn't going to support it anymore. So we went.
Tell me about that conversation.
That was a conversation with me, Your Honor.
Step up. That was a conversation with you,
Yes, Your Honor.
not with Jill.
Your Honor.
So
She,
tell me about it.
I was in Quantico, military training, and I called like every other day. And on one of those phone calls, she wanted to talk to me, Bobby Daddy, and she was in a very harsh tone, told me how did I expect to support her. And I simply tried to tell her that I had enough money once we were married to support her. It wouldn't be rich or anything, but we'd be fine. And she just said that until she had some financial plan in writing that we would not be able to get married, and she would no longer support it if we not show her that financial plan.
Okay. Bobby, tell me what you remember of this conversation.
I remember it clearly, Your Honor. My daughter had no food. She was coming to us with no food. She had no gas.
She lived on her own?
Yes. Okay, she was at our door constantly. Okay, and that was agreeing when we got, she said she was getting married then. Okay, now we'll pay for the wedding. You're old enough to support yourself. Anyway, her car went down. He left. He's nowhere to be found. It's in the army. I don't know exactly. Not his fault.
Believe me, but one person has no one was.
Right. Exactly. But the idea was that we were upset because we planned around how he wasn't around. We planned a wedding together. That's the conversation. Okay, conversation that Jill doesn't have any food. Where is the money going? $500 that we gave for her. She said he had spent it on his friends over the weekend that he came to visit with her.
Mag-end ako Kuya Onyo. Isang oras lang ako. Bye-bye Kuya Onyo. Salamat Jenny. Salamat. Thank you.
And I named a few other things. And
May
he
1
said
hour
she's
lang.
not paying child